Welcome to Tommy Solo's Famous Friends. This is where I get to chat with people that I've connected with over the years in the world of arts and entertainment. And today I'm very happy to have with me singer, guitarist extraordinaire, Amy Schugar. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Hi guys, how's it going?
All good here.
Welcome.
So you have had a long and illustrious career in the music business. Um, but the spotlight was something that you came by honestly. From what I understand, your mother was a famous bullfighter.
You've done your work. Yes, yeah. My mom was Carla Lee, and she was very famous. So I've got a video of my mother, and what I think I'm going to do is probably upload that to YouTube because back in her day, there wasn't a lot of, there wasn't any videos and things like that. We didn't have the internet. She was in a book called Muriel Finer, Women in the Bull Ring. I actually have a copy of that in the living room. But yeah, and she wasn't a lot bigger than I am. In that movie, she gets tossed. She gets tossed around. My mother was incredible. She was a model. She was just beautiful, and that's how she became friends with my godmother, Amalia Mendoza, and she's a very famous rancho singer. I don't know if you
Nice.
knew about Amalia. Yeah. Okay.
I did see that online. Yeah, yeah. Now, you got started in the business back in the old heavy metal days, but that was obviously you've been playing for a while. Did you get started on guitar or singing or both? And how did you get inspired to get into the music?
Well, as a kid, I was probably about 15 or 16 years old, and I'm walking through the house and I see a guitar leaning up against the couch. And I said to my dad, I said, Dad, what is that? I mean, I passed this for the first time, a guitar. And he says, Your sister wanted to take lessons for a guitar. And I said, Well, can I touch it? And he says, Yeah. So I sit down with it. And man, the wood, and the strings, it was incredible feeling. And actually, I still have that guitar. So I kept that guitar because that's the first guitar I ever touched, I ever played. And it just really got me into it. And then there were some people in high school that started. My friend Fred Robinson, he was amazing. He still is. And David, my David Boris, and that's what got me into the music. Was I started with the acoustic, so I was taking lessons. We all want to take our lessons, and the Mary Had a Little Lamb thing was just kind of making me a little impatient. And then I heard Kiss. I got that album, and I'm like, whoa, that's what I want to do. And I started playing those chunky chords on that acoustic guitar. And it wasn't long after that somebody had a guitar for sale in their closet, and I'm trying to think. I think it was the Gibson. Oh, it could have been the Fender Mustang. So, but this kid had a guitar for $80. Yeah, and it had the competition stripes. It's super cool, and that's pretty much how I got into playing the electric guitar. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we came up from some pretty golden years, and I mean today kids have YouTube and they can learn from all of that, and
Yeah.
that must be nice. But the
Yeah.
music that
Yeah.
we had coming up with was just awesome. Now you're also a very strong singer, and I'm curious, did you also take vocal lessons?
In college, I think I took a semester of vocal lessons, and it wasn't very long, just a small semester. And my friend Bill Webb, that's where I met Bill. He was in that class, and I think that was Mrs. Kaiches. I'm trying to think, Mrs. Kaiches. And but I always just loved singing. And mostly it's listening to a lot of guy singers. I like female singers also. Female singers are great, but some of these guy singers are just strong and powerful. And yeah, it's influence, I think. But yeah,
I,
thank you
w-
for
I
the nice
watched
words.
I watched a video of you singing Highway Star, and that
Oh,
was that was wicked. And I understand that was in a battle of the bands that you guys placed first in.
oh my gosh. Yeah, hang on. Let's see here. This is funny. We did. Look, we placed first. There it is.
Nice.
Yep, we
Yeah.
did first. And there was like maybe 30, 28 bands, I think it was. There was a lot of bands there. And yeah, so we did that. And David, did you see that guitar player doing all
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
crazy stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew David when I was a kid. I met him probably when I was around 16 or 17 when I was able to get into the bars and I saw him playing like that. And then later on, David and I were together, for a while. So we'd sit
Mm.
around and play a lot of guitar. But yeah, thanks for that. Nice words.
Now you're in Arizona, is that right? Or,
I am. And
yeah. So
not,
he's from Chicago, I understand. So did you grow up north and then make your way?
David was from Rochester.
Okay.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah,
That other
yeah,
guitar player?
yeah.
Yeah, no, he was from Rochester. And unfortunately, he's not around anymore. So
Oh, that's too bad.
that's yeah, it's sad, sad ending on that one. But yeah, so that's how I knew him. I guess he moved out here and then came to Phoenix when he was a kid. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. I just saw some press about him from the Chicago area. But anyway, uh, this is about you. Now, you talk about being really impressed with strong male singers, but what I was really am impressed with about you is that you hit the notes, but you're really clean. So that's why I wondered if you had actually taken voice lessons because you're not a screamer, but you hit those screaming heights, you know? So
Well,
go
I'd
ahead.
listen to Rob Halford. Rob Halford was coming around the mason jar when I was a kid. Like
Hmm.
you could see us talking and hanging out, and then he'd hang out with a lot of the people. And listening to him and Queensryche, Jeff Tate, how about that guy?
Okay.
Jeff's amazing. I would hear
Okay.
that and I would try to aspire for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you're really a well-rounded musician. I mean, to say the least. I mean, I first kind of noticed the metal stuff, but there's a lot more to you than just that. I mean, now you were with the Metal Maidens, is that right? The female Iron Maiden tribute,
It was Made in America, and that was out in Los Angeles.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did some covers and played our gigs out there in LA. Yeah.
So there's a lot of metal influence in your playing and in your singing, but you've also done some really sweet blues. 500 Miles, for example, that's a nice blues tune and really clean playing there as well. You
Thank
know,
you.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, but I'm curious, who were your major influences on guitar coming up? You mentioned Kiss. That's kind of how where you got started into the rock and roll thing, but was it like all the metal guys? Like who were
Well,
your primary influences as a player?
primary, I didn't have a lot of influences like that as a player. I think it's just a lot of it was self-taught. So I would get in there with the guitar and I would just start going in on that stuff. And uh, Michael Schenker UFO stuff is really cool. So I like that kind of tone. And that's maybe as a kid where I caught some of that blues stuff. And back when I was a kid, there wasn't a whole lot of people shredding and all that kind of stuff. They had a lot of tastiness to them, a lot of soulfulness to them. And so, primary, I'm trying to really think where a lot of that playing would come from. Funny enough to say, there was a kid in high school, the Fred guy that I mentioned, and when I saw him play, it was absolutely incredible. Incredible. I mean, to watch how he could pick every other note and make it so fluent. And I don't know. We didn't have the internet and stuff back then either. So you're kind of subject to what you'd hear on the radio and then maybe go pick up some of the albums. Um, I did listen to Eric Johnson. I heard that one for the first time, and I was very impressed with hearing Eric Johnson play. So I think I had a tape from that, and so that kind of inspired me as well. Dixie Dregs, Steve Morse. I went to that concert, and that was incredible. I saw him play, and wow, that was incredible. It was in Mesa, and that was a long time ago. It was the early '80s. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, those are some impressive players. Now, you mentioned Michael Schenker, and I know you've collaborated with him. Michael Schenker, from me, on the early UFO albums, I learned a lot about melodic playing from him. You know,
Yes,
on
absolutely.
those the Phenomenon and Force It albums. you know. And I spoke to Phil Mogg on this show a while ago, and he still has fond memories of Michael from those days. I don't know where their heads were at, when he left and went to the Scorpions, was in the Scorpions, was in the UFO, and then back to the Scorpions, whatever. But certainly he evolved as a player, and as to me in kind of a strange way because I didn't consider him to be a shredder back in the early UFO days, and then all of a sudden, wow, he was like leaving me in the dust, you know. So
Yeah,
you know, my producer tells me that if I wanted to play like a shredder, I'd have to work with a metronome. You do a lot of that stuff. Did you work with a metronome when you practice?
absolutely. Did it today too. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people say, "Well, I've got the metronome in my head, and I don't need it anymore." But I don't know. I work with the metronome a lot, and it's every day. It's every day I'm working with the metronome. And you brought up the early Scorpions, and I forgot to bring up the Yuli Roth because that was really when I heard "Sales of Sharon."
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody was trying to mimic that and make that happen, and that really was. I love that. That was incredible, and yeah. So yes, I do work with the metronome. Short answer.
Yuli John Roth, I spoke to him a year or two ago,
Mhm.
and he talked about watching all these young players cover Sales of Sharon, and I said, that's great, and it's got to be very complimentary to see that and so on, but they didn't write it. You know, I
Oh.
said like you wrote it. Yuli John Roth wrote it.
Mhm.
And to me that's important because I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, and I think we're from very similar, we're close age-wise. I can remember people around me, like in high school and that, saying, "Well, if you could play this, you'd be really good," and blah blah blah, and I thought, well, no, but Santana wrote that. I didn't write it,
Wow.
you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Good
So,
point.
so I think there's a lot to be said, and you're very creative in your playing. You don't sound like Michael Schenker. You don't sound like Carlos Santana. You sound like you. So how do you manage that?
I don't know. I just pick up the guitar and I sound like me. I don't know. Uh, that's a question I've never been asked yet. That's interesting. I don't know. I want to sing with the song, so maybe that's it. So so if I'm singing a vocal line and that's maybe the main phrase, a lot of times I'm going to go ahead and try to play along and make the guitar sing my voice parts. And maybe it's gear wise too. I'm not sure because I'm just using stomp pedals. A lot of times I'm just using the old fashioned way, the stomp pedals. And maybe everybody's going digital and then that makes them sound like that. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll have to think on that one a little bit, if that makes sense for my
Yeah,
answer.
it does. Yeah. I mean, and everybody and their dog is going digital. And I can't even wrap my head around plugins. When I am recording my stuff here, I'll plug my pedal board right into my audio interface. And
Mhm.
it's a stomp box pedal board too. Because I tried to wrap my head around all that stuff way back. And in the early 80s, everybody was using rack systems, and I could never figure it out. And it's like, what am I got to turn around to turn it on? Like, how does that work? Like, so
Yeah, sort of that stuff. Yeah.
I think there's
Go
something
ahead.
to be said for, leaving it to your hands and with the basic stomp pedals, it's not so confusing. You can focus on the music, I think, more.
And I think you're probably right. So as of lately, I'm doing more knobs and stuff and trying to mess with the knobs. So because you don't want to do a Mexican hat dance with a whole bunch of pedals, So it gets kind of harrowing. I understand why people have the digital stuff. They can make this patch here, and they get this one and this one and this one. But I was thinking too, is it possible that maybe it's in the attack of my hands because my hands are little and maybe it's the attack of that. That could be too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and
Um,
that comes through the more organic you keep it, that comes through more. Like I think that if I was to hand you one of my guitars, you would sound like you on it. And I,
oh,
I feel like I feel like I would sound like me on one of your guitars probably too, because
mhm.
the less is more, I think, and the more you come through. Speaking of you, I know that you have your own legion of fans, and a lot of people around the Arizona area are familiar with you, and you were quite a splash on the LA, California scene during the metal days. But I think we should maybe just take a quick minute and let the people watch one of your videos. What do you think?
I like that idea. Let's do it.
Well, let's take a look at Even Though, one of your more recent ones.
Perfect. Thank you.
I hope we ain't going separate ways. That will bring on a whole new set of feelings. I never wanna see, no, I never wanna see separate days. That would bring on a whole new set of feelings. You never claimed to be no superhero. I never claimed to be no superstar. You've done so well, and your pace is never slowing. We've seen the toughest of the times sometimes, and our love it still keeps growing. Our lives together were spared, and we should have been overcome. I'm just hoping that the fussing and the fighting and the trouble days be done. You never claimed to be no superhero. I never claimed to be no superstar. But I love you just the way you are. Where you are.
That's great. That's really a cool video and it's a cool song. Did you write that?
I did. Yes, I did. And I wrote that about a situation I was in, and the situation with the person was so frustrating, and but I found myself still there. So I loved him and cared for him, even though this was a mess. And so those words that I wrote in that song actually are true words. We had a fire happen at our house, and so there's a line in there, both of our lives could have been spared or have been spared, when you hear the song. So that's what that was about. And yeah, and that song actually went on the Japanese label for Avalon Records. So Avalon Records had come to me and they said, we need a bonus track. And they gave me a record deal for that. So they needed that bonus track, and I had that song, and went ahead and gave them that bonus track. And I had just wrapped that song up. I mean, it was within that day or those days. It was like right on the heels because I really needed that song done. And so when I went ahead and gave them the bonus track, we got the record deal in Japan for the Sugar Schenker. So it was contingent on that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Now, um, I've never really had the best of dealings with the guys in suits. You know, um, I feel like, and people have told me that if I had maybe signed a few more things, I might have done this or that. But I've just never really. I always felt like people were trying to rip me off. And when I spoke to Phil Mogg, the original singer from UFO, I asked him, what advice would you have for young up and coming artists? And he said, beware of managers bearing false gifts. What's your
Mhm.
experience been when you're signing these deals? Has it been good or not so good? What,
Well,
like,
that Japanese deal was really super easy. I'm going to tell you because they sent the contract over, and I think maybe also the Japanese have different ethics. I think that's a possibility. Okay, because they're not some shady guy wearing a pinky ring. You got to
mm,
watch out for some of these pinky rings. I'm going to tell you. That's my first. That's my first thing. And I'm going to tell you that's true. You guys pay attention out there. I have a PI friend of mine. He used to tell me that watch out for the pinky rings. And those Japanese that really aren't wearing those things. And so when they came to me with the contract and the deal, and you get everything in writing. So you want to see the writing. And then you ask them to send you the contract. And when I got the contract, I read it over and then I took it to a music attorney. So we had a really good music attorney out here, Connie Mabelson. I'm not sure if she's around anymore, but it's worth some money. And at that time when I did it, it didn't cost too much, but it's worth 200 or 300 bucks to have an attorney read that over for you,
I
and
have an uncle in the Phoenix area, and he is or was an entertainment lawyer, and at the time he was handling people like Kenny Rogers, etc. And the
so
first time I was offered a record deal, my aunt had said, "Don't sign anything until Fred sees it." Fred Lemberg. Anyway, he looked at it and he called me and he said, "Don't sign it." And I said, why? And I mean, I'm already starting to think to myself, what kind of a car am I going to get? And he said, it's a
yeah, yeah,
loan. It's a loan against sales, and if they don't
okay.
promote it, you're going to end up owing all this money back. But
And
anyway,
this was a deal. Okay,
yeah,
so this was a different deal. This is we want to license this out to sell to
right.
Tower Records and sell that here in Japan. Those are great deals to get those. And it's funny you mentioned the car because I did buy a car with it. Woo! I
Yay!
got a
All
little,
right.
I got a those '66 Datsun Roadster with that deal, and I still have that car. That car is a great little tool around. Yeah. So
Nice.
difference I would think with the record deal as opposed to the licensing record deal type of thing. And you're right. Yeah, you get yourself in a lot of trouble with that stuff.
Yeah.
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 And then they want to
Yeah.
own your stuff, make sure everything's copywritten too. So we couldn't do this deal until they saw the copyrights and everything. So
Right. Yeah.
mhm.
And I think that the strong who survived are those in the entertainment world who have some sort of a business acumen to begin with. And it seems to me like you've got that. You know, you're not just off the boat, whatever, you know. So that's so important is to dot the I's and cross the T's and pay attention to what people are actually saying and writing and so on. But I want to get back
Yeah,
to don't want to get back to your music. The ASR Records, is that, do you have your own record company?
going to mention that. Yeah, so that's my business name and that little record label thing. So if you are a musician and you're doing music and you're serious about this stuff, then you're going to have that license. Get it's a sole proprietorship. It's simple enough. In fact, Michael helped me with that, and you get that done, and then you do your business out of your business account as your sole proprietorship. Yep, yep.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, and that's so important for people to understand because I've spoken to a number of legacy artists that really don't have much to show for the time they put in, you know.
Well,
I won't
and
mention
that's
names.
yeah, and sometimes it's surprising because some of these people made a lot of money. You know, did I get rich? No, I wouldn't say I got rich, but it's how you're going to budget your money. But some people, and I won't go into it, but you're right. I mean, they've made a lot of money. It's like, well, what happened there? But they maybe didn't work it properly. So I think you're correct on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now you've as a guitarist, you've got several endorsements.
the Floyd Rose,
Okay, Floyd
Floyd Rose.
Rose,
Yeah,
and
those
what?
guys. That's what you and there was a Daisy Rock, and I was endorsed with them at one point. And those guys, yeah, so those guys, this was going to be interesting. They met a long time ago because I had a criteria. So Daisy Rock wanted to know what I wanted in a guitar, and it's got to be a good stick of wood, but it's also got to be, functioning and really. It was a different story what I wanted to do. We couldn't marry on that because Floyd Rose actually met with Daisy Rock Guitars, and it was going to be very expensive for Daisy Rock to have the type of guitar that I wanted, the Floyd Rose free floating, whammy stick and toggle stick there, and the locking nuts and all that kind of stuff, and jumbo frets. I mean, you start getting into like all this stuff, and it's like, well, no, wait a minute. The really costly guitars have that. I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't it be cool? You can make a kid's guitar, but yet adults could use it. Like you'd have real musicians and adults using this guitar. Utilitarian, I guess that'd be the word, like just a real workhorse of a guitar. But it was going to get too costly. So we didn't do that. And I never approached Ibanez. I don't know. Maybe I should have talked to them. I never did, but I love their guitars. And I have a Ibanez RG 550, an old one from the 80s, and I love that guitar so much. And when I got that a long time ago, this guitar, it didn't have paint and all that stuff. So I cut it down. Where is that guitar? Is it in here? Is it on a couch? Yeah, if you want to. And so I cut it down and had all the components that I love, the Floyd Rose free floating thing, the jumbo frets, the maple fretboard, all this really cool stuff. I like where the toggle switch is on the Ibanez. So if you're playing up bridge or pickup area, you can toggle back and forth really easy. Well, that one will work too, but the black one should be. So this one here, I still have this one, and
Okay.
that's an 87. Yeah, but basically, you can really toggle up and back really good. I really like these
That
guitars.
looks like one of the Satriani endorsed ones to me. Kind of looks like
Yeah, this.
his idea with the handle there.
Yeah, well, this was the Steve Vai one. So yeah,
Steve
you're close.
Vai,
Those guys
right?
were. Yeah, those
Yeah.
guys were besties. But this is a real '80s one. I put a Fernandez sustainer in that guitar. Thank you,
Okay.
Ron. I put a Fernandez sustainer in there. I still have. This is the guitar. Here's the pickup from that guitar, the pink one.
Oh,
See, but I cut this one down, and it's really tiny. And you'd be so surprised how heavy this guitar really is. being so tiny because I'm tiny.
It's a beautiful guitar.
Anyway,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
thank you. Everything you need, honestly. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful guitar for a beautiful lady. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
So, so I know you've been posting a lot of your older videos online and so on, and on your website, you're more or less telling us to stay tuned. So, is there a new project or projects in the work?
Yeah, there's I'm working with a friend, Greg Turner. He's got a studio out here. I'm out in Rio Verde right now too. So, and great engineer. This guy, he really knows how to mix songs and stuff like that. So I've got some new tunes that will be coming out very shortly. And oh, I have, excuse me. I also have a group that I'm working with, a band of musicians, and we're going to be playing at the Starlight coming up. And there's a video too that I'm going to upload probably later today, sometime this weekend. It's another song. It's a new old song that
Mm.
I did a long time ago, and it's called "Want You." And I was in a band called Sass with my friend Lynn Townsend and uh, Matt Indies, and these guys, spectacular musicians. So we put together a video of us, the three of us, playing that song and stuff, and a lot of clips from the '80s and some people in there like Rob Halford and stuff. He was at that show, and yeah. So this song's called "Want You," and I think you'll enjoy that. It's got some. It sounds like it's got some nice little 30-second notes and things
I did watch the '80s
going
video.
through it. Can you see me?
Yeah, I
What's
did.
that?
We're glitching a little bit, but I did watch the '80s video of
Yeah.
Sass and Want You, and that was pretty
Yeah.
cool. So we'll look forward to the new version. I don't want to take up your whole day, Amy. I know you've got things on the go, you've got people to see and things to do, but I do want to thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day to do this with me. And
I
until,
wanted to say hi to my friend Ron. This is the drummer too. Ron Fields. Say hi, Ron.
Hey, how
hey,
you
Ron,
doing?
I'm all
So
good.
yeah,
Oh, good, good. So you've got your friend as a roadie right there for you. Uh, well, I
well,
do
he's the
want
drummer. He's my yeah,
right. Okay. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of
yeah.
your day
Gosh,
to do this with me. And until next time, cheers.
thank you. Cheers.